What would you do if you are playing a tournament in a foreign land and you figured out that there was cheating going on in the tournament? You refuse to play the tournament itself, but now the organizer threatens you that if you don't play this tournament, if you don't play your games, I will kidnap you and put you in jail because I have contacts in this city. What would you do? How I landed up in a situation where my life was up at stake purely because of a chess game. I was threatened horribly by the tournament organizer. I have shared completely in a separate video, which I will link at the end of this one. But for now, we look at this game, which I played under this circumstance. Last night, I had been threatened. If I do not show up for this game, I'll be put in jail. And well, just imagine playing a chess game under that stress. You're wondering, should I simply run away from the city? I'm in a completely foreign land. I don't know anybody else in this country. Should I run away? I've also paid for my accommodation. How do I run away? It's just insane. Do I play the game or do I just leave it? I mean, it's an insane dilemma. And I just somehow held on to my balls as I decided to play the game anyways, and that would also give me more time to figure out what to do and how to escape the city. I've shared all of the information regarding what really happened in the separate video, but for now, my opponent started the game with e4. I sat down and I played the Sicilian defense, and in the opening, I was very happy that it was the knight off because I knew the opening theory for a few moves, and that meant I would not have to think for a while and I could simply drown in paranoia. Now came d4, so I took the pawn, knight takes, knight f6, knight c3 and a6. We have the starting position of the knight off. And here white went for bishop g5. This told me he was really well prepared. And this also told me I was not prepared at all, because the entire night previously I had spent on worrying, which shoes am I wearing? Can I run fast in these shoes? Can I dodge? These are the things I was wondering before this chess game. I can laugh at it now, but during that time it was really scary. And now comes e6. I open this up. I don't want him to damage my structure. And now comes f4. White puts the pawn on f4, wants to play queen f3, and wants to castle queenside as quickly as possible. I play queen c7. This also prevents bishop c4. That's why the move order is important. And now comes castles. And now knight to d7. And this is the starting position of the bishop g5 setup in the knight off. So this is all opening theory. I knew it. My opponent knew it. And this is where the battle started. White plays g4. And I had faced this before multiple times, so I simply played the move h6. And here, if white were to go bishop h4, you see one of the most positional concepts in chess. You will never see this in any other opening. Here, black can play the move g5, which looks so stupid. I mean, you're basically giving up a pawn and also weakening your king. But now comes knight e5. The queen has to move. Let's say you play, I don't know where you move the queen. Let's for now put it on e2. And now you take on g4 and you basically pin this pawn because the bishop is hanging. So what can white do? Maybe he can play h3, but we don't move the knight, we take the pawn. And now if he takes this, we take this, and black is actually better. And if we can establish a knight on e5, remember in the knight off, in the Sicilians, the knight on e5, if there is no f and d pawns, is a monster. It can be worth more than a rook sometimes, and it can control all parts of the board, defense and offense. Hence, my opponent here played the most logical move, bishop takes f6, giving up the bishop pair but gaining time. He can now go h4 in one move and does not have to waste time moving back. And now I played the line which I had played previously. If this was a normal circumstance, I might have paired some other line because I would know my opponent is prepared. But of course, opening theory was not one of my main concerns. So I simply played what I knew. I played the move knight b6. And here my opponent played g5 and I take on d4. This is the idea here. You want to give up the bishop pair back so that you don't, this is extremely dangerous. White can play bishop h3. That's extremely dangerous. He can play g6. And now your dreams of castling queenside, which was my goal, have completely evaporated. There's no chance you castle queenside now. So this is very dangerous. Black does not have time for this and he gives up the bishop with bishop d4. White takes back and now comes bishop d7. Now as Anish Giri showed in his course, now queen c5 is the better move in this position. But as you might have guessed, I had not seen Anish's course until then, so that was a big flaw in my repertoire. So I just played bishop d7, also a decent move, not a big deal. And now comes bishop s3. So he puts pressure on this diagonal. Basically what he wants is to, let's say in ideal scenario, make me push e5, weaken this d5 square, f5 square, and just use it with his pieces like crazy. So I play castles, I want to stiffen up my king, and now comes g6. You see, he's weakening the e6 square. He still plays this move, and now I play the move king b8. I move my king out of the attack. There is no pin on any pawns, any bishops, nothing. And now he takes the pawn. As he took the pawn, I saw one of the tournament organizers, one of the friends of the main organizer walk in, and he was trying to look at the game. I was on the edge of my chair. Is it running time? Do I have to, does this turn from chess into a sprint immediately? But he just looked at the game and left. So I continued my merry way and I played the move rook f8. I want to win the pawn back. Then I want to play d5 and simply win this pawn. He plays rook d1, so I have to save the d6 pawn. So I play bishop c8. I have to defend it this way and also defend it this way. So both pawns are very important. And now comes queen g3. So he not only gets out of this pin, he attacks g7 and also keeps an eye on this diagonal. So this pawn, this diagonal, everything is under attack. And now comes rook f7. I win back the pawn and he goes e5. Now this pawn is pinned. I cannot take this pawn because of rook takes d8. So I have to be a bit more cautious. And I play the move d5, which white utilizes well with the move knight to e4. I still cannot take, but luckily for black, yeah, he can come to d6, but I have the move knight to c4 and I kind of prevent this now. So what is the knight really doing on e4? Not much if you ask me. And now after bishop f1, the knight is under attack. So I play rook d7, finally unpinning this pawn, and he takes my knight. And of course, I don't take this because then the knight will sit on d6. I take the knight instead. And now we will have rook d7, rook d7, rook d7, bishop d7, and the position in an endgame. And for example, here queen g7, which looks very logical, is not a good move because now queen c4, and if queen d7, this pawn is dangerous. e3. If anybody is winning this game, it's black. So that's why white should not go for this, and he did not. He played the move bishop b3, saving the bishop, and now queen g7 comes to mind. I played the move bishop c8 back. I also have to defend this pawn and also defend this, so I don't have many choices. And now comes king d2. I play queen d8 check. And now comes king e2, stepping out of any checks whatsoever. And now I play bishop d7. Bishop b5 check is on the way. He plays f5. Extremely tricky move. And this is where I finally, on move number 29, made a mistake. Here, the best move for me was to play bishop b5 check, which was the plan. But now comes c4. What? Why would you play this? But now, bishop e8. The idea was to tempt the c pawn forward. Let's say you pick up this pawn, your choice, bishop h5 check. Let's say you go king e1. Now queen a5 check. There is no c3. If I saw this during a game, then I think my opponent would be making a video. How Sahil could cheated against me. Yeah, this was impossible, man. This was so difficult. I played the logical move queen c7, but now came f takes e6, and the issue is after bishop b5 check, king e1, queen c5, a4 attacks the bishop, bishop c6, king e2 back. I'm simply a pawn down. And just to point out the obvious, in this position, I could not have taken the pawn because then comes e6 and it's a check and the bishop is lost. So I had very limited choices, and this is the second best move in the position actually. And once we reach this position, a4, bishop c6, white just simply pushes the pawn and I have simply no chance to hold this pawn. Queen c5, queen e4 check, king d2, queen f4, and king c3, and I resign because there is no defense. Queen d6 check is incoming, and then the pawn will at some point push. In fact, even queen takes c6 is a threat because pawn takes allows e8 queens. And yeah, I lost this game, and I can't tell you, I barely signed the score sheet and I ran. And I ran like Usain Bolt as if his ass was on fire. There was no stopping me for a mile until I reached my apartment. And well, now I'm going to link the second video to tell you everything that happened in this tournament, and well, how traumatic it was and how the World Chess Organization itself really can't do much about this.